You know, I know some of you have gone through some severe trials in your life, perhaps even going through a severe trial right now. Divorce visits so many Christians, uh, painful, uh, perhaps life threatening diseases, disappointments with your family, perhaps with children, or a husband or wife has disappointed or frustrated your trust in them. All kinds of things come into the lives of God's people. Included among them are not only the results of just living in a fallen world as a fallen person, but your own sin. Perhaps you have sinned grievously at some point. Perhaps you have turned your back on the Lord for a long time and you are just now turning back toward Him. Whatever that is, those tears of weeping will be turned to joy in the Lord, and to a certain extent, I'd suggest that perhaps without trials that come into our lives or sin that brings us to our knees, that we can't really fully appreciate the faithfulness of God, the joy of being near Him. That's what this psalm is about today, Psalm 126. Israel here, again, these people repeating the psalm or perhaps chanting or singing it are on a journey to Jerusalem. And they're reflecting on the Lord and they're reflecting on the history of Israel as they go up to Jerusalem. And they're thinking about when the Lord brought the captive ones out of Zion, brought them back. We were like those who dream. So he's thinking about how Lord has rescued them from their captivity in Babylon, their captivity in Assyria, brought them back to uh, Jerusalem. And out of that, really 70 years of painful exile for Judah and Benjamin came laughter, joyful shouting, a great witness among the nations, the nations proclaiming that the Lord had done great things for them. And I think that our here verse today reminds us that those who sow in tears shall reap with joyful shouting. So let's talk about sowing in tears. I think tearful repentance, really experiencing the disappointments of life, not just minimizing them, not just ignoring them. When someone sins against you, not just dismissing it, that, well, we're all sinners, how we quickly minimize that and dismiss it. But really, as the prophet Micah does in Micah chapter 7, verse 1, really wails and groans over the deplorable situation among the people of Israel as they've turned away from the Lord. So we also mourn over the conditions that we see God's people in, just like Israel did here, that we weep, that we feel the depths of the Lord's grief when He sees His people in sin, when He sees them being satisfied with superficiality and shallowness, when God's people neglect meeting together as He has commanded them to do, how it must grieve His soul. And if we are His children, it should grieve our souls as well. We shouldn't try to dismiss it. Because out of those tears of grief, out of those deep anguishes will come joyful shouting. When we see, as Israel saw God restore them to Zion, to Jerusalem, so we will see God intervene and gather His people together. As the church, of course, we look forward to the rapture. We look forward to Jesus calling us skyward and drawing us together, and we will be joyful shouting when we go to be with Him, and when we're together ultimately, and we see His grace and we see the extent of His mercy, and will be just a joyful day. But it's going to be even more joyful if first we experience some of the grief that God has over His people. So I'd encourage you, in terms of application of this, is to think about the church, Think about the predicament of the church in general as it labors in the world against an unbelieving world, against a ridiculing world, against a world that dismisses the church as irrelevant. And also your local church. I'm sure there are things that should bring you to grief in the local church: unfaithfulness among the leadership, superficiality and shallowness, laziness among the leadership, even in the pews, laziness with regard to spiritual things, worldliness that has creeped into the church, any number of things that might cause you to mourn and then to anticipate the joy that you're going to experience in that moment of rapture when Jesus will gather his true saints to himself, and you'll be among the people of God worshiping him, worshiping the Lamb on the throne, and worshiping the God the Father along with the 24 elders who will be there with us. So how do we apply this today? How do we respond to this today? Well, just as I said, think about something in your church that brings you to sorrow, and then think about how the Lord is going to redeem that. He's going to turn that to good. God bless you, brothers and sisters. I pray that this journey through the Psalms of Ascent are not only educational for you, but also very encouraging. I pray that they encourage you to continue on your journey with the Lord himself. God bless you.